Hi, I'm Sean, 31, and 2 weeks ago my girlfriend of 4 years looked me dead in the eyes over takeout noodles and said, "You're not my priority anymore. Deal with it." I didn't yell. I didn't even blink. I just said, "Okay." And I meant it in the most silent detonation kind of way possible. She smiled after that. Like I'd accepted my demotion. Like she just marked her territory on a new chapter of her life and I was cool with staying in the margins. What she didn't know was that I'd been watching the temperatures shift for months. The late replies. The last-minute cancellations. The way her phone started living face down, like it was ashamed. And you know what? Fine. People change. Priorities shift. But don't announce it like a CEO laying off middle management. Don't treat your partner like a faded hoodie you only wear to take the trash out. So the next morning, I kissed her goodbye like usual and left for work. But I wasn't going to work. I went to the storage unit I'd secretly rented the week prior. Moved boxes all morning. Made calls. Set up mail forwarding. Hired 2 guys from TaskRabbit who had no clue they were helping someone ghost a relationship like it was a Netflix crime doc. By 3 p.m., every trace of me was gone from that apartment. I even took my spice rack. Because pettiness is a seasoning too. She came home to a ghost town with throw pillows. I didn't leave a note. No message. Nothing. And I didn't hear a word from her for 2 days. But then her best friend, Jess, texted me. A message so blunt it made my stomach drop. "You need to know something. I didn't know she was doing this to you until now. Call me." And when I did, what she told me flipped the entire story on its head. Jess didn't even say hello. The second I picked up, she just launched straight in. "I'm sorry," she blurted, voice shaking like she'd been holding it in. "I didn't know she was that far gone. I thought it was just emotional stuff. I didn't know she was playing you. I sat down on the edge of my mattress, my new mattress, in my new apartment that still smelled like unpainted drywall and cardboard. The place was so fresh it echoed when I spoke. What do you mean, playing me?" Jess took a breath. "Sean, she's been seeing someone else for at least 2 months. Maybe longer." I just closed my eyes. Not because I didn't suspect it. I did. But because hearing it out loud turned suspicion into a sucker punch. "She told you that?" I asked. Jess hesitated. "She didn't have to. I saw them. I ran into them at a bar. They weren't trying to hide it. They were holding hands at the bar like teenagers. She saw me and just waved. Didn't even flinch. Like it was normal." She paused. "She told me not to tell you. Said you were getting clingy and needed a push to finally let go. That you'd been dragging out the breakup." My jaw clenched so hard I thought something cracked. "I didn't tell you because I was trying to stay neutral," Jess said quietly. "But when she called me this morning, crying about you vanishing, asking if I'd heard from you, I realized she didn't just cheat. She flipped the script on you. Made it look like you abandoned her." "Of course she did. Of course. This was the woman who once returned a salad because it had too much lettuce. Who used to make subtle comments like, 'You're not really wearing that, are you?' And then swore it was just her being honest. She was a master of twisting things just enough to make you feel crazy, like your own feelings were a bit much. But this was industrial-grade gaslighting." Jess kept going. "I asked her flat out if she broke up with you first. She said no. Said you kinda accepted that she had other priorities and that she figured you'd eventually move out. That she gave you space. Sean, she's telling people she didn't know you were leaving. She's acting like you blindsided her." I had to laugh. Because this was peak her. Creating chaos, then crying when she got cut on the glass. But Jess wasn't finished. "She's scared now," she added. "Not because you left. Because she doesn't know what you know. She thinks you're planning something. She's worried you'll ruin things with the new guy. And honestly, I think you should." "Who is he?" I asked, half hoping it wasn't someone I knew. Jess sighed. "His name's Cole. And you do know him." My stomach dropped. "No. Yeah," Jess whispered. "From her office. The one you helped her get the job at." I sat in stunned silence. Because I had helped her get that job. Fixed her resume. Referred her. Rehearsed her interview answers like a coach. I even bought her that lucky navy blazer she swore made her look like a boss. And now she was sleeping with the office golden boy I'd literally introduced her to at their holiday party. My blood was ice. She always had a thing for him. Jess continued. But nothing happened until recently. And the worst part? She told him you were her roommate. That you were on your way out. That's how she justified it. I stood up too fast and nearly knocked my phone off the bed. Wait, he didn't even know we were dating? I asked. Jess gave a guilty pause. Apparently not at first. But he knows now. And guess what? He doesn't care. She let that land. He thinks you were just some ex who couldn't let go. That you finally got the hint. He's been bragging to his team that she's all his now. I let out a short, breathless laugh. Not from amusement. From sheer disbelief. She didn't just betray me. She rewrote the entire relationship in past tense, while I was still in it. Then Jess said something I'll never forget. She's not sorry you're gone. She's scared you'll tell the truth. And in that moment, something snapped inside me, not in a rage kind of way. In a crystal clear, calculated kind of way. If she wanted to tell her version of the story, fine. But so would I. Because I had screenshots. I had receipts. I had a whole Google Photos timeline of our life together that told the real story. And I knew exactly when, and where, to drop the truth. 3 days later, I got the invitation. Well, technically, I saw the invitation. I wasn't actually invited. It was a post on Instagram. A cute little brunch gathering hosted by her department's PR team, celebrating promotion milestones and exciting new beginnings. Big smiles. Champagne flutes. Patio string lights. Cole's arm wrapped tight around her waist in one photo like they were already the office power couple. And the caption? So proud of this incredible woman and all she's accomplished. I stared at it for a full minute before I realized I wasn't even angry. I was impressed. She hadn't just left me, she'd rebranded herself. Full relaunch. New man, new narrative, new lease on life. A full PR sweep. She even unfollowed my sister, which, honestly, was the part that really made me laugh. What did my sister ever do to her? Wear beige too loudly. I checked the guest list through tagged photos. Jess was going. So were a few people I'd helped move apartments, helped through breakups, helped get jobs. All smiling next to the two of them like it was a royal engagement. They all knew the story she told, of course. The sad, exhausted version where I just fizzled out. Lost ambition. Got clingy. Needed space. You know what I had? Proof. A text from her, 2 weeks before our anniversary. Can you handle the trip planning? You're always better at logistics. I'll book the restaurant. I'm still obsessed with you. A video from a month earlier, her singing along in the passenger seat on our drive to Vermont, one hand holding mine, the other holding a coffee I brought her exactly how she liked it. She'd captioned it, "My home in human form." I had Google Maps data showing we lived at the same address. I had voice memos of her leaving long rambling, "I love you" messages just weeks before she told people I was barely around. But I didn't want to burn it all down with one angry post. That would be too easy, and way too temporary. I wanted her to feel it. I wanted her to watch it unravel. So I made a different plan. Operation, let her lie collapse in public. First, I reached out to Cole. Not to fight. Not to threaten. I just sent him a message with one sentence. "Since you're dating my roommate, I figured you'd want to see a few things." Attached were 4 photos. Us kissing on New Year's, timestamped. A screenshot of a flower order I'd sent to her office, with a personal note about how proud I was of her job. A text from her bragging about him being clueless. A selfie of us cuddled on the couch, taken exactly 24 hours before her. "You're not my priority anymore." Line. No commentary. No follow-up. Just silence. He didn't respond. But Jess told me later he definitely saw it. Because apparently, at the brunch, he pulled her aside mid-toast. Said something low and sharp. Her whole face changed. And then she disappeared into the venue bathroom for 20 minutes. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then Jess said something that made me choke on my water. She came back out with mascara on her teeth, Sean. She what? She was crying so hard, she tried to fix it in the mirror and got it on her teeth. I didn't even know that could happen. But that wasn't the best part. The best part came the next day, when she texted me. After weeks of silence. After cheating, lying, and pretending I never existed. She finally messaged me. "Hey, can we talk?" Just that. No apology. No context. No. I'm sorry I gassed at you and used you like a live-in assistant while I lined up a shinier model. I stared at the text like it was some kind of museum exhibit. Then I did something I'm still a little proud of. I screenshotted it. Then posted it, cropped, anonymous, to a Reddit relationship thread with the full story. Every detail. All receipts. All timelines. I left out names, but not events. I protected her privacy, but not her behavior. It blew up. People put the pieces together fast. Office gossip spread like wildfire. Turns out when your lies are based on pretending someone didn't matter, it's awkward when they do, and suddenly everyone's talking about them. Her boss saw it. Her coworkers saw it. Jess said the energy at work turned ice cold. No one likes being fooled. Especially not the kind of coworkers who toast your exciting new beginnings. And the most poetic part? Cole didn't dump her. He ghosted her. No confrontation. No blow-up. He just stopped replying. Unfollowed. Blocked. Vanished. Because even he realized, if someone can lie that well about a live-in boyfriend, what would she lie to him about? Last I heard? She tried to spin the story again. Tried to say I sabotaged her out of jealousy. But this time, no one bought it. Because now, people had my story too. And I wasn't the invisible one anymore. A week later, Jess sent me a voice message that started with 4 words. You won't believe this. Spoiler, I did. At this point, nothing surprised me. She requested a meeting with HR. Jess said. Tried to say you were stalking her. That the Reddit post was a threat to her safety. I actually laughed. Out loud. In public. Because this woman, the same one who didn't text me once after I moved out, who pretended I was just some roommate who finally got the hint, was now claiming I was lurking in the shadows like some vindictive Reddit Batman. She brought printouts, Sean. From Reddit. Highlighted paragraphs. I think she even underlined things. And when HR asked if she'd formally reported any harassment from you while you were together, she said, well, not formally. Jess was barely keeping it together. They asked when you broke up. She said months ago. Then they asked why her lease still had both your names on it. Why there were anniversary gifts from this year listed on her expense app. Why you were still her emergency contact. She looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. Turns out HR doesn't love being lied to either. Especially when the story you're selling makes them liable. So now, instead of being a rising star in the PR team, she was under review for conduct inconsistent with workplace ethics. What does that mean? It means her reputation, the one she'd carefully curated with Cole, the office, and half our mutuals, was crumbling faster than a gluten-free cookie in hot tea. But here's the thing. Even with all that happening, I didn't feel good. Not yet. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted to feel real again. I wanted to stop waking up with that dull panic in my chest, that whisper that maybe she was right. Maybe I had just been dragging it out. Maybe I had been holding her back. Maybe I was forgettable enough to vanish from someone's life without a trace. You want to know what kind of breakup messes you up the most? Not the loud ones. The quiet ones. The ones where there's no final fight, no screaming, no. It's over. Just a slow erosion of matching. The ghosting that starts before they leave. But something changed the day I got that second message from her. Because yeah, she messaged me again. This time it said, "You really couldn't just let me be happy, huh?" I stared at it for so long my phone screen dimmed. And then I laughed. Because there it was. The truth. She never wanted a clean break. She wanted to walk away with a perfect story, her story, where I was the ex who faded out. No mess, no questions. Just a clean slate with a new guy and no uncomfortable truths trailing behind her. But the moment I refused to disappear neatly, I became the villain. She wanted closure that made her feel like the hero. And I didn't give it to her. So I didn't reply. I posted again. Not a rant. Not revenge porn. Just a quiet update to the original Reddit thread. I explained what had happened. Shared how she'd tried to twist it into a harassment story. How HR found the truth. How she burned the same bridges she thought she'd crossed so flawlessly. And at the end I wrote this. Sometimes people don't leave because they're miserable. They leave because they think they can upgrade. They don't want to hurt you, they want you to quietly stop existing so they don't have to feel bad. But the truth has weight. And eventually it lands. That comment got more traction than the original post. Because a lot of people knew that feeling. Of being edited out of someone's story while still standing in the room. Jess texted me later that night. "You're going viral again. People hate her." Like, deeply? I shrugged it off. That wasn't the goal. But it helped. What helped more was the message I got from one of her former coworkers. A guy named Marcus. He said, "Just wanted to say thanks for posting. I went through the same thing with her last year. Thought I was crazy. She told everyone I was unstable. Your post helped me let go of that shame. You're not the only one she tried to erase." That was the moment I finally exhaled. Because I wasn't crazy. I wasn't the problem. And I wasn't alone. 3 weeks passed. The Reddit post kept spreading. People screenshotted it, shared it to relationship forums, even discussed it on a podcast Jess sent me where the host debated whether my ex was a narcissist or just terrible at breakups. I stayed quiet. I was done talking. Until she showed up. At my new apartment. Uninvited. I opened the door and there she was, standing in a hoodie I'd left behind and a face full of forced calm. Like she wasn't holding a storm behind her teeth. "I just want to talk," she said, like this wasn't an ambush. Like I was supposed to forget the part where she tried to weaponize HR and make me look like a stalker for telling the truth. I didn't let her in. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "I'll give you 5 minutes." She blinked. "That's it?" "That's generous." Her jaw flexed. She stepped back a little, arms folded. "Okay," she said. "Here it is." And then she hit me with it. "You embarrassed me. Publicly. You made me look like a monster when all I did was move on. You don't know what it's like to be the one who outgrows a relationship and gets punished for it." I just stared at her. She really believed that. That she was the victim. That lying, cheating, and rewriting the timeline to make herself look innocent was just growth. "You told him I was your roommate," I said calmly. "You told your friends I was emotionally clingy. You told HR I was a safety threat. You really want to talk about embarrassment?" She waved that off. "We were falling apart, Sean. You knew that. You didn't even fight me when I said I had other priorities. You just gave up." I had to laugh. That was the narrative now. That my calm response was proof of failure? "I didn't fight," I said, "because I'd already seen the truth. You were done. You just didn't have the guts to say it." She looked away. "You don't know what it's like," she repeated, quieter this time. "Being the one who has to be the bad guy. People hate women when they leave." I tilted my head. "They don't hate women for leaving. They hate liars. They hate manipulators. And they really hate when someone pretends to be the victim of a story they wrote." Silence. For a second, she looked like she might cry. But then she hardened. "Well, congratulations," she said bitterly. "You won. Everyone loves you now. Reddit's sweetheart. The good guy who got screwed. I bet it feels great." That got under my skin. Because no, it didn't feel great. It felt hollow. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want clout. I just wanted peace. I wanted the space to rebuild the version of me that existed before her rewrite. "I don't need them to love me," I said. "I just needed someone to see me. And now? They do." She didn't reply. She just stood there for a second too long, then turned and left. No apology. No closure. Just silence and footsteps and the sound of my front gate clicking shut. I didn't chase her. I didn't want to. Because the version of me who would have chased? Who would have begged for a clearer explanation or tried to fix her mess just to make it easier for both of us? That guy was gone. He left the day I packed up the spice rack. And in his place was someone who finally understood. Closure isn't something you get handed. Sometimes it's something you build yourself, brick by brick, from the wreckage they leave behind. After she left my doorstep, it felt like the final scene of a movie I hadn't realized I was starring in. No dramatic music. No applause. Just the soft sound of traffic outside and the quiet of my new place. For once, it was my quiet. Not the kind where you wait for someone to come home or check their phone or offer a half-hearted sorry. Just real silence. The kind that doesn't hurt. A few days later, I started getting messages again, not from her, but from people who'd once believed her version of things. Coworkers. Old mutual friends. Even one of her cousins. One by one, they slid into my inbox like guests at a funeral for the lie. Didn't know what really happened. I'm sorry I didn't ask. She made it sound so different. I should have checked in when you moved out. I wasn't mad at them. I didn't need apologies. I didn't need validation. But I'll tell you what I did need, what I did do. I started writing again. Not Reddit posts. Not stories about her. Stuff for me. I wrote down everything I'd ignored during our relationship. The way she brushed off my job like it was a hobby. The way she only really said, "I love you," when she needed something. The time she laughed with her friends about how men are only good for two things. And I was pretty decent at both. I wrote it all. Got it out of my head. Then I deleted the doc. Not out of anger. Out of release. Because by then, it was clear, she wasn't the one who needed to read it. I was. The whole thing didn't end with a bang. It ended with a slow unfollow. A quiet block. A soft, solid exit. That's what real peace feels like. Not screaming into the void. But finally having nothing left to say. It's been 4 months. 4 whole months since I left that apartment, since she looked me in the eyes and told me I wasn't her priority anymore, like she was handing me a dry cleaning receipt. And in that time, I've rebuilt my life piece by piece, with no contact, no explanations, no revenge plots. And guess what? I'm doing better than I ever thought I would. The new apartment doesn't smell like fresh paint anymore. It smells like me. Like clean laundry, real cooking, and occasionally, burnt toast when I forget the timer. I bought a couch. A good one. One I didn't have to get someone else's opinion on. One that I actually want to sit on for more than 5 minutes. Jess and I talk now and then. Nothing heavy. She updates me occasionally, like how my ex tried to bounce back at work by leaning into the "he went nuclear on me" narrative. But the timing's bad when everyone has already read your story in widescreen. Apparently, she's seeing someone new now. Someone outside her company. I only know because someone tagged her in a photo, and her name popped up on my Explore page. I didn't click it. I didn't care to. Because here's the thing, she's not the villain of my story anymore. She was just the fire that finally burned down a version of me that needed to die. See, for a long time, I thought being a good guy meant sticking around, being patient, proving you were dependable even when someone treated you like a placeholder. But it doesn't. Being good doesn't mean staying silent while someone rewrites you. It means walking away when the respect is gone. It means refusing to let someone treat you like a rehearsal for their next act. It means choosing dignity over proximity. And when I moved out without a word, that wasn't cowardice. That was grace. Because I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't blow up her life. I just removed myself from the story she was trying to fake. And you know what I've learned since? The people who matter? They'll see through the edits. They'll see the full picture. And the people who don't? Let them read the short version. Let them believe the pretty lie if they want. Because you've got better things to do than be the villain in someone else's fairy tale. You've got your own story to write. And for the first time in a long time, mine finally feels like mine. Update. It's been almost a year now. A quiet, strange, healing year. No drama. No sudden texts. No weird voicemails. Just time doing what time does best, softening the edges. I've started dating again. Slowly. Cautiously. But without fear. I don't go into it thinking I need to prove I'm worth staying for. I go in knowing I am. Jess moved on too. She left that company 6 months ago. Turns out, being the only one willing to call out the golden girl comes with a price. But she's better off. Last I heard, she's traveling more, finally launching that small design studio she always talked about. She sends me updates now and then. We've become something weirdly sibling-like. Trauma bonding is real. As for her, I haven't heard a thing. Total silence. She never posted about the new guy again. Never tried to rewrite the rewrite. She just disappeared from my digital life like she'd never been there. And honestly, that was the best ending I could have asked for. No closure talk. No apologies she didn't mean. Just silence. The kind I used to beg for, and now finally get to enjoy. If you're wondering whether I regret going public, sharing the story? No. Because sometimes telling the truth isn't about changing their mind, it's about reclaiming yours. I stopped being the backup plan. The placeholder. The roommate in someone else's version of our life. I became the narrator again. And I've never looked back.